Hi, it's Jim Martin. Today I wanted to talk about my Fender Stratocaster. I've talked about this guitar a bit before. This is the first electric guitar that I bought with my own money. I was about 12, probably, what would that be, 1980, 1981, something like that. I bought this for about 125 bucks, surprisingly enough. Fender Stratocasters at that time were not in vogue at all. The shop where I bought it, the guy was, he was not a fan of them at all. His distaste for Strats was quite clear. It's a 1973 Stratocaster according to the markings on the body and some other things. The neck is from 1969. I don't know what might have happened or if they just had one laying around. Apparently that was relatively common. Over the years, teenagers don't take care of things very well, and I was not any different, unfortunately. And so it's a bit beat up, and I've played it for decades, obviously. It's got a bit of wear and tear, but it's like a lot of Fenders, kind of a rock. It's taken a lot of abuse and kept on ticking. I've made a number of changes to it. You'll notice straight off the bat that it has a brass nut. That was the way it was when I got it, and I really doubt that that was a standard feature, but it's something that's different from what it probably was when it came out of the factory. A few years back, I replaced the tuning machines because they had all just gotten worn out. 50, 60 years will do that to something. I also changed the tremolo bridge out, oh gosh, sometime in the 90s. I don't remember exactly when. And finally, I've gone through a couple iterations of pickups with this guitar. So when it originally came, it had standard single coil pickups. And for anybody who knows, single coil standard pickups can be rather noisy. They make a lot of hum when you're in particular environments facing particular types of wiring and all kinds of stuff like that. In the 80s at some point, I don't remember, the 80s is a hazy decade for me. I put in EMG pickups, and for those of you who are unfamiliar, those are active pickups, and what that does is you have a battery that powers them that goes under the pick guard. The EMGs were great because they were noiseless. That said, over the years, they just started to wear out. They got muddier. I got tired of having to replace that battery all the time. And so most recently, I had some noiseless Fender pickups put in. That required some further changes because they're about twice as thick as a standard single coil pickup or the EMGs were. That required my technician to route the body out a little bit more so that these would comfortably fit within the body. And he was like, hey man, I don't know, do you really want to do that? And I'm like, absolutely I do, because this is a tool. It's not some precious object to hang on the wall. I use it. And therefore, if I'm not going to play it, then it might as well be sold. So I said, go ahead, route it out, and put these pickups in. And so he removed a fair amount from the pickup cavity, and he also shielded it again and put these new pickups in. I'm very pleased with them, and I'm going to play them a bit later. I guess just a bit of a point to say that if you've got an instrument and you're not playing it because it doesn't sound the way you want or whatever, you can modify it. And even if the instrument is an older one like this, I wouldn't hesitate to do that. That's me. Some people are not like that and wouldn't ever consider doing something like that. But for me, it's like, I don't see this as something that I'm going to pass this down as a family heirloom, and thus it must remain in a hermetically sealed environment and never be touched. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Your preference, do what you want. That said, it sounds great. So I'm very happy with the changes that Johnny made from Ground Floor Guitars. It's been really fun to get reacquainted with it. It's been surprisingly natural for me to fall back into a pattern of playing this more often because, geez, it's the first guitar I really ever had that was mine. Obviously, I've been showing a few close-up pictures and such. A couple other minor changes that I made to this is that the knobs for the volume and tone controls, they started to disintegrate. Little chips were coming off of them and stuff. And so I replaced those, and also the little knob that goes on the pickup selector, I replaced that too because it was just had a big chip out of it. And it's got new, it's got old, and it sounds great. So I'm gonna play a few things and give you an idea of what that sounds like.